Our second reading is Isaiah 58. Shout out, do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Announce to my people their rebellion, to the house of Jacob their sins. Yet day after day they seek me and delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that practiced righteousness and did not forsake the ordinance of their God. They ask of me righteous judgments. They want God on their side. Why do we fast, but you do not see? Why humble ourselves, but you do not notice? Look, you serve your own interest on your fast day and oppress all your workers. You fast only to quarrel and to fight and to strike with a wicked fist. Such fasting as you do today will not make your voice heard on high. Is such the fast that I choose, a day to humble oneself? Is it to bow down the head like a bulrush and to lie in sackcloth and ashes? Will you call this a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this the fast that I choose? To loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. And you shall cry for help, and he will say, Here I am. If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and your gloom be like the noonday. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your needs in parched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like the watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters never fail. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. You shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to live in. If you refrain from trampling the Sabbath, from pursuing your own interests on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the holy day of the Lord honorable, if you honor it, not going your own ways, serving your own interests or pursuing your own affairs, then you shall take delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride upon the heights of the earth. I will feed you with the heritage of your ancestor Jacob, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. So today, or this evening, my sermon is the fast that God chooses. And I think in some ways, the passages that are in the lectionary, and I actually looked through the lectionary, and the part about not marking ourselves shows up every year on the day that we do, in fact, mark ourselves, which I find is an interesting selection. And it makes me curious as to why the lectionary folks would choose that piece on this day where all over the planet we are marking ourselves with ashes. And I think part of it is, are we choosing to do this symbolic ritual for the right reasons, out of humility of spirit, of recognition of our status as mortal beings with only so much time, and that time is slipping between our fingers? I think we've been reminded of that in so many ways over the past few weeks and months. A recognition that we are dust, and that to dust we shall return. And that here we are with time left. And it's up to us to decide what we're going to do with that time. We only have so many days. There's the country song, to live like I was dying, or live like you were dying. You can tell how often I break out country music. It's usually the blues. But there is something important in that song and in the realization that our days are numbered. So what will we do with the precious, sacred time that God has given us? Are we going to spend it behaving in ways so people think that we're good or popular or wealthy or whatever mask we want to put on, because all of us have that favorite mask? The good kid, the weird kid, the smart one, the popular one. And we hide behind those masks. We can waste our life chasing after something that is not real. We can present ourselves in ways that are not authentic. And we can waste our days on pursuits that do not build up ourselves and our communities in ways that are healthy and sustaining and lasting. One of the things that I hear from kids when they say, why, and young adults, kid is a relative term, right? But what I hear from folks of why they don't go to church is, number one word is the word hypocrisy, inauthenticity, and judgment. I don't think that's this space, but we are forever in danger of putting on a mask that is often self-righteous or holier than thou or better than, instead of realizing we are all siblings, one to another, children of God, called to serve, called to care for, called to build up, but build up something different than what maybe our own inclinations would have us build up. We are to reject empire and instead build an empire of service, where our community benefits and our families benefit and we ourselves benefit, and that God's call and glory shines out in the darkness. Because the darkness that so many of us face is a darkness of heartbreak, of fear, of not enough, that fear of not knowing how on earth to make ends meet. No matter how much you crunch the numbers, it's just not going to work out. We live in a community where so many people are on edge, where so many people are bound in one way or another, bound by fear or hunger, that are lost and trying to find a place where they belong. The fast that God chooses is not something like I give up chocolate for the month, as I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, or I give up, half my lunch, or, I'm not going to do, no more sports or whatever. Mine tends to stop at chocolate, okay? I have a hard time thinking of why anybody would pick something else. So whatever the things are that we tend to give up for Lent, and think that we've done something, that's the fast that God is like, what are you thinking? I don't care if you do, have a second helping of dessert. The fast I choose is a fast of justice. A fast that builds up, that draws together. Let go of the things that separate us. Let go of the fear of what will people think if I stand up for this thing that I know in my heart is right. Give up the fear. Hear God's call. Give up the separation. Give up the bigotry, all the divisions. And we divide ourselves so many different ways. I mean, we know the political divisions, but I lived in a place where the church, one side was the farmers on the hill, and the other side was the farmers in the valley. Do you know how long it took me to figure out how they chose which side of the church to sit on? We divide up over strange things. Give up that. Give up the masks and step forward into authenticity and God's love. And if we do that, what's going to follow? Won't that allow us to build our communities, to build our churches, to build our families? Because how many of us are walking around with a mask? And I think maybe the hardest mask to take off is the mask we wear at home. How hard is it to talk to the people we love the most? Because we're afraid that we're going to disappoint them. We're afraid that we're going to anger them. We're afraid that if they really see us, that they'll be able to hurt us. That they might reject us. Can we put those masks down and stand in one another's presence in love and hope for healing? And then build from that. Because then, if we do that, nobody's going to say we're hypocrites. Why? Because we are what we are. Not we're pretending to be this and hoping nobody notices. If we can stand as who we are, the imposter syndrome drops away. Because how often are we afraid that maybe we're not qualified to do whatever it is and somebody's going to find out and then laugh at us? When we stand as we are, as the old song says, just as I am, we're loved by God. And I hope we'll be loved by one another. And when you've got authenticity and love and God's grace, what on earth will stand in the way? The fast that we need to undergo is what is here at the end, the fast of God's choosing. Again, letting go of the bigotry and the separation, to serve and to love as Christ served and loved. That's our hope. As individuals and as communities. And wouldn't it be great if we could drop all of the bickering, all the ways we divide up politically, and start healing there as well? Because healing is possible. When we do this, the Holy Spirit will go ahead of us and God will be our rear guard. I pray that we're able to do the type of fast God's calling us to do. And if you want to give up the second serving of dessert or give up dessert altogether, that's fine. It certainly won't hurt you. And it might remind you that there are people there that don't get the first serving, much less the second. Because we need to remember there's hunger right here in our community. There's suffering right here in our community. And if the little usual Lenten fasts help you remember that, that's a goodness. But ask yourself, is that what God is calling you to truly do? Whatever God's calling you toward, step into that, and you will be healed. I pray that we can do this walk together in love and kindness and hope today and ongoing. Maybe so.